Thank you all for joining us for another week of movie news. I'm excited for today. First up, we have the debut trailer for the upcoming Karate Kid film. Additionally, there's an update on the DCU Slate, news about a canceled Captain America movie, and Sony's plans to reboot their spin-off universe. We'll explore all of that and more. Before we dive in, don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe if you haven't done so yet. Now let's jump into our first topic. Initially, I planned to share the first look photos of Karate Kid that were released today, but we actually got the trailer. And I have to say, I'm quite impressed. I was already anticipating this movie and thought it would be good, but I had some concerns it might come off as a cash grab or a poorly executed sequel to a cherished franchise. However, it seems Sony has put in the effort, as this trailer has a much more serious tone than I expected. The film is set 3 years after the conclusion of Cobra Kai, which we'll see next year, and follows Mr. Han, who has taken on a new student named Lee. Lee enters a tournament to support a new friend he meets after moving to New York, but his current skills aren't enough to secure a win. To help him, Mr. Han, played by Jackie Chan, reaches out to the original Karate Kid, Daniel LaRusso, for some karate training. This sounds significantly more promising than the initial plot we were given for this film. In this instance, the information we received about the movie is accurate, but it wasn't the central focus. The details we have about this new film remain valid. This young character is a student of Mr. Han, hailing from Beijing, China, and relocating to New York, where he befriends a pizza shop owner. You can spot the pizza shop in the background. However, contrary to what we initially thought, where the kid teaches the pizza shop owner karate for self-defense, it appears he actually needs to earn money from a tournament or something similar. There seems to be a pressing need to win this tournament, likely tied to financial reasons. That's a positive twist. I absolutely love the concept of merging kung fu and karate into one cohesive experience. This is shaping up to be the ultimate Karate Kid installment. I recall when the Jaden Smith film was released, there were intense discussions about which martial art reigns supreme, karate or kung fu. Many argued that kung fu would easily overpower karate. However, this new film suggests that you can't dominate a tournament with kung fu alone. You need that karate, Miyagi-Do style. And let's not overlook the scenes featuring Jackie Chan, Mr. Han, and Daniel LaRusso in combat. Even though we only got brief glimpses, their movements appeared more fluid and quicker than some of the fight sequences we've seen in Cobra Kai. I'm not criticizing the fight scenes in Cobra Kai, but let's be honest. There are moments when the older characters' fights don't look as impressive. With some cinematic choreography, though, this new film is likely to present a much sharper visual experience. Overall, I'm genuinely impressed with the initial glimpse of this movie. I was worried it might just be a guilty pleasure for me, but now I can confidently say I'm excited for Karate Kid Legends. Now let's hope for a Jaden Smith cameo. Are you all excited for Karate Kid Legends? Now there's a small topic I want to address. It's about the new title for Wicked Part 2. Honestly, I believe it's one of the least appealing titles we've seen for a film. A few weeks ago, I unexpectedly enjoyed the Wicked movie, which I initially had no interest in. Since then, I've come across some intriguing details about what's in store for Part 2, and I'm fully on board with it. So, I was taken back when I learned that Wicked Part 2 has been renamed to Wicked for Good. This title seems like it might be a reference from the Wicked musical that I'm not familiar with, but it certainly doesn't have a catchy ring to it. Wicked for Good, I feel like there could have been a more creative option. This change also highlights how Hollywood has shifted away from using Part 1s and Part 2s in titles, as they don't seem to draw on the same audience they once did. There was a time when adding those terms would create buzz, but now it appears to be a surefire way to diminish box office returns. Even the latest Mission Impossible film had to change its title from Dead Reckoning Part 1 to Mission Impossible: The Final Reckoning. So, even if you're not a fan of Wicked, it's fascinating to consider this from a marketing angle. I'd love to hear your thoughts. If you're as excited about Wicked as I am, what do you think of the title Wicked for Good? This brings us to a discussion about Sony. It has been a rather disappointing weekend for Sony regarding Kraven the Hunter, as the film underperformed at the box office. While there were reports suggesting that the studio was done with its cinematic universe, those claims indicated a temporary pause of 3 years due to their focus on Spider-Man 4 and Beyond the Spider-Verse. However, a credible source, Deadline, has now confirmed that Sony is taking its recent setbacks in the Spider-Man spin-off universe very seriously and is considering a reboot. This seems to be the only viable option, as continuing with the current direction appears unfeasible. The challenge lies in how to reboot the franchise in a way that captures interest, particularly by shifting the focus to Spider-Man-centric characters. Despite the official news, there have been numerous strange rumors circulating about Spider-Man lately. Some have even suggested that Sony might return the rights to Marvel after this film, but that seems unlikely. They continue to generate significant revenue, even if some character reputations have suffered. The only film that has truly flopped for them is Madam Web, and Craven may soon join that list, but we'll have to wait and see how it performs in theaters. The Venom films have been quite profitable, and Morbius reportedly turned a profit as well, according to recent articles. When you consider the success of the Tom Holland trilogy, with each film grossing over $1 billion, No Way Home even reaching $2 billion, it's hard to see why they would relinquish control. They may have lost $5 on one project, but they've made $500 elsewhere. There's no compelling reason for them to sell off this franchise. Let's talk about the DCU. James Gunn has been busy, and we've got some updates. When Gunn announced the DCU Slate, it included Waller, Superman Legacy, Peacemaker Season 2, Lanterns, The Authority, Paradise Lost, Brave and the Bold, Booster Gold, Supergirl, and Swamp Thing. However, only a few of these are officially moving forward. Superman Legacy July 11, 2025, Supergirl Woman of Tomorrow June 26, 2026, and Lanterns. Gunn has clarified he won't greenlight a project without a finished script to avoid overpromising like the MCU has in the past. The big recent announcement is a Clayface movie, releasing September 11, 2026. Produced by Matt Reeves but set in the DCU, it's described as a horror tragedy, portraying Clayface as a sympathetic character. It'll have a modest $40 million budget, which reduces risk and makes smart use of resources. As for The Batman Part 2 October 2nd, 2026, there's some concern since James Gunn revealed there isn't even a first draft of the script yet. Without it, production delays could push the release to March 2027. This raises doubts about the timeline, but confirms the film is still happening. Additionally, there are two mystery release dates in 2026 and 2027, though their titles remain unknown. Meanwhile, a dynamic duo movie, blending animation and stop motion, is set for June 30th, 2028, focusing on the origins of Dick Grayson and Jason Todd. James Gunn has emphasized that the DCU is a flexible, living universe. Movies don't need to connect directly to larger events. They just need strong scripts. That approach might work, but it's a departure from the phased storytelling we're used to with Marvel. Lastly, Swamp Thing, directed by James Mangold, is still in the works, though nothing is official until a script is submitted. That's the DCU update for now. Lots of potential, but patience is key. Now onto the Marvel side. Deadline revealed Marvel had plans for a canceled Captain America movie featuring Chris Evans and Haley Atwell. This film was intended to set up Avengers Doomsday. The story reportedly focused on Steve Rogers' journey after returning the Infinity Stones, showing how he ultimately chose to stay in the past with Peggy Carter. It would have explored his struggles and decision to leave his timeline for a happy ending. This was theorized a lot after Endgame, but we thought it was going to be made into a series. Interestingly, Marvel had the plan to make it into an actual movie. Unfortunately, the project was shelved, likely due to challenges in developing the story and potential conflicts with Brave New World. It might have overshadowed Sam Wilson's rise as the new Captain America if Marvel was still focusing on Steve Rogers' arc. As for Avengers Doomsday, we now know Haley Atwell will appear as Peggy Carter, which means she could be playing Captain Carter or a multiverse variant. We also got speculation that Chris Evans will return as Nomad, possibly exploring consequences of his choice to stay with Peggy and how it altered the timeline. I don't really get how that would make sense because I thought we are supposed to be Nomad in Infinity War. But while we won't see Hydra Cap or a standalone Steve Rogers movie, elements of those ideas might appear in Doomsday. Marvel seems to be weaving these threads into the larger story rather than committing to another solo Captain America film for Steve. It's fascinating to think about what could have been, but for now, all eyes are on Sam Wilson's turn as Cap in Brave New World. Let's hope it delivers. Don't forget to hit that like button, subscribe if you haven't already. But as always, I'm Andrew. Take care.